in the wake of everything happening, has been so many articles and, there's been so many news publications covering this. And I've been talking with a lot of, publications, and I've actually, kind of stopped responding to them and stuff. And I mean, there was an article posted by NBC a couple days ago, and like, full transparency, it says in that article, like, McIntyre didn't comment when we reached out to him or something. I'm going to be honest, the most taxing part about all of this, other than, people like seeing really embarrassing things that I did with like an adult whenever I was really young. Thanks, Cody. Has been having to, do interviews and relive everything from like the point of view of like being asked questions about it. And I appreciate that, news articles have wanted to cover it, and in no way is it me complaining, but it hit a point a couple days ago where I was doing an interview and I was answering a question, and it was like the second question they asked me out of like 20. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I cannot do this anymore, because like all the interviews, and I'm so grateful for them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm grateful that people wanted to like voice, what I was talking about or what we were talking about, right? But I mean, every interview, it would be like an hour. And there were a couple days where there was, I did the Rolling Stone and Time Magazine interview and the Sloan podcast and the interview with Paige, for Paige's video. And what was the other thing? There was one day, right? So like what I said, I did the Rolling Stones interview, I did the Time magazine right after it, and then I did Paige's interview that was recorded, and then I finished the day doing Sloane's podcast. And it was just like, to repeat the stories that amount of times in one day, which again, don't like misconstrue this or whatever. I'm just so grateful that people want to cover it and stuff like that. But I'm at a stage now where I don't want to do any more interviews. I did Swoop a couple days ago, and I was waiting for Swoop to be the last one. And I ended up saying that to Swoop as well. I was like, I'm so grateful you're doing this, and like, this is my last one. Like, I want to prioritize this, and this is my last one. So Swoop is the last kind of person that I've spoken to about this in like the media world. And there is a couple other articles that are going to be coming out. And so, full transparency, NBC did reach out to me. Well, in my defense, actually, NBC reached out to me and like the next day had the article posted. And I just kind of thought it was like, okay, there wasn't that much time to comment, which is weird. You know what I mean? Like, they obviously had the article done and were ready to post it. And they were like, oh, we'll just reach out for comment. NBC really didn't give a lot of time to comment at all. But I wasn't going to respond to them anyway, just because I had, made my mind up that I was going to talk to Swoop, and then that would be it. But they really didn't give any time to respond. And in a lot of these articles, it says, like, Colleen Ballinger was reached out to and didn't respond. I want to confirm, though, that the only, from my knowledge, publication that didn't give, more than like 24 hours or something for a comment was NBC. Like, NBC was the one that had a really quick turnaround, but all the other ones, the articles had been in the works for weeks. And there's like one coming out in the next couple days that a lot of the Weenies members have been interviewed for, and they reached out to Colleen a couple weeks ago. So if you see in articles that Colleen refused to comment, normally they will say after multiple attempts, because it's been over a long period of time that Colleen's refusing to not respond to this. In my defense, for the NBC thing with me, I wasn't going to respond to them anyway. However, they really didn't give me time to respond, if I would have. So just keep that in mind. It's not the article that we're reading, but something I wanted to note. But yes, that is me done talking to media people now. I'm really, really, really emotionally exhausted with it. And I think having my mom come to Brighton, and I was able to see my mom and hang out with my mom for the first time in so long, just talking with her and stuff like that, I was like, at this stage, I just kind of want to, talk for myself and, move forward in that kind of way. Even if I'm talking about the topic, I don't necessarily want to be doing interviews, and I don't necessarily want to be asked about it. I would rather talk about it if I want to talk about it, rather than, for an hour sit down with, and have these questions. But sorry for that really long intro. This Huffington Post article is, in my opinion, the best article about this entire situation. And I do not think that there is going to be a better article. What's ironic about that is I only did the Huffington Post interview a couple days ago. And I didn't want to do it because it was within the timeline that I wasn't going to do any more interviews. And I cannot tell you how glad I am that I did an interview with them, because the amount of work, research, dedication to this topic that was put into this article, I'm glad that I helped out, Paige, the journalist in this, because she did an insane amount of work for this. So before we get into reading this article, Becky is, on record. Johnny's on record. I'm on record. There's Ella's stories in there as well. Weenie's members are on record. And Joshua David Evans is on record. Do you know my mouth whenever I read that Joshua David Evans spoke and did an interview in this article calling out Colleen and said that, the things that we were told in Weenies about him weren't true, and now there's this, fight back and forth with Josh, and Josh confirms that he and Colleen, used the fans and group chats, and we'll get to his phrasing and stuff, and then it does this entire interview with Josh, and, Josh's, participation in things and stuff, and then it goes, Ballinger refused to comment after multiple attempts. So she is refusing to comment multiple times, not only to me, to Johnny, to Ella, to Becky, to any of these people, the Weenies members. Now, Josh is going on record against Colleen, and she's silent. Which screams, we already know she's guilty, sorry, but screams guilty from a media standpoint. I do not know if she has a PR team whatsoever. And we're aware she's been going on tour and making jokes about it. She went on tour, 2 days ago, and there's a new joke she's added into the show where Eric comes on stage and is like, I'm married to the best woman in the entire world, and Miranda goes, that's not what I heard. Ha 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 ha. It would have been funny if it was a one-off, but when you write it into every show, it's like, wow, this is a planned bit now. So anyways, let's get into this article. So, she's a children's YouTube star. Her fans say she groomed them as teens. Colleen Ballinger, known for her character Miranda Sings, has been accused of having relationships with her fans that they are now calling inappropriate. Alright, so this deep-fried photo is just insane. Just off the bat. This is written by Paige Skinner. I will link all of her stuff down below, and I will also link this article down below. Because just the amount of work that went into this is insane. It's crazy. On YouTube, Colleen Ballinger appears at first as a positive role model to kids. It's always very interesting how they open it, right? She built a colossal platform, boasting nearly 20 million followers across multiple YouTube channels by interacting with her young audience directly, largely through an online character named Miranda Sings. Painted in overlined red lipstick, Sings is a childlike adult with a speech impediment who, despite her tone-deaf singing and awkward dance moves, earnestly believes that she's destined for stardom. This is one of the first articles as well I've seen describe Miranda Sings. Like, normally they just, say the characters if, everyone knows. So this article does a great job at telling this story to the general public. Ballinger, who's 36, which is crazy to me to imagine, by the way, that Colleen is nearly, approaching her 40s. That has nothing to do with people being like, look at Adam being ageist. It's not ageist to bring someone's age up in a conversation if it adds context. You know what I mean? Because at 36 years old, approaching 40, to be acting how she's acting is incredibly disturbing. And I think that there's nothing wrong with focusing on her age. And people being like, it's so ableist, they're all focusing on her age. Because that's a big part of it. It would be wrong for a 20-something-year-old to be acting like this. Never mind add another 20 years on top of that. You know what I mean? So no one's being ageist. Bringing up her age is very important here. This is a nearly 40-year-old woman who's acting like this. A nearly 40-year-old woman that is triple the age of the kids that she befriends and uses. So, Ballinger 36 has marketed herself towards children for nearly 15 years by taking, and it's so interesting them saying that as well, that she caters towards children. By taking part in YouTube challenges, collaborating with other popular YouTubers like JoJo Siwa, which, by the way, people have been asking me to talk about that friendship. I'm not going to say much on that. I'm not going to say much on that. Oh my god! Wait, I have news for you. Oh, do you want to know why I'm so, pissed off now? That I'm so pissed off to do with everything? If you're not on my social medias, you'll know a little bit of this, or you won't know a little bit of this, and if you are, you'll know a little bit. However, there's, more to it that I haven't spoken about yet. Hi, Bree. Bree from the Weenies is here. And Bree has to do with the story I'm about to tell. So, Colleen and the Weenies had another group chat, but it was on Instagram. So remember I and them, had the Twitter group chat in 2018, I think, or 2017 or something like that. They created an Instagram group chat, which, by the way, Olivia and Brie, you're in here and you're the Weenie members. I was a part of Weenies. Why was I not added in that Instagram group chat? Rude. I was still a part of the Twitter group chat at that time. Rude. Anyway, looking back, I'm glad I wasn't in it, but rude. But so anyway, they had an Instagram group chat. And the Instagram group chat was being used, for the 3 years past my video. And in 2020, after I posted my video, there is now so many screenshots that I can't even begin to talk about them, of Colleen Ballinger trying to take me down yet again after my video and starting this campaign behind the scenes in the Weenies about my video. And many times was asking them to find dirt on me, to find information about me, to find moments where I was being negative towards her, or she was dissecting my video and stuff. So Bree said, Adam, I have a voice memo from her about you. I screen recorded it. See, how am I supposed to react to all this? This woman, so when people go, Adam is so obsessed with Colleen, you have no idea how much it's the other way about. You have no idea how much it's the other way about. And so I now have all of these screenshots from all these different members of the Weenies who are all sending me all these different things. And let me tell you something, I'm working on something. I can't say what it is, but with the amount of information in those screenshots, they're very damning towards Colleen Ballinger. Olivia from the Weenies group chat said, Colleen stalks Adam. I can 100% say this as the truth. So let me tell you something. There's a lot of information that I have been giving that is very damning about this woman. And everything's being collected right now because there's that much. She's obsessed. Colleen Ballinger, and so obsessed with me. Colleen Ballinger has spent many years obsessing over me. And you will see that very soon. You will see that very soon. So, just to let you know what's happening behind the scenes, right? Anyways. But Brie, I would love to hear that. I wouldn't love to hear it, but, I would love to hear that screenshot, or, sorry, screen recording. Anyway. And I have all these members of Weenies being like, oh my god, I need to send you this. And then they send me something, and then another member's like, I need to send you this. And I'm like, oh no, I already got that. And they'll be like, no, there's another part to it. Like, the year's worth of stuff against her. And let me tell you something. I have enough information on Colleen Ballinger to prove now that she was maliciously trying to take me down. I'm not going to say much here, so just think about my wording. I now have enough information and screenshots of Colleen Ballinger maliciously trying to take me down that they're being collected and handled with. And this is nothing like what I've shown yet. So, my mom came at a pretty... Olivia said she never talked to us unless it was about you. Oh my god, Mariah Carey just tweeted and I thought she DM'd me. Oh my god. I was like, what? That was so confusing. She just tweeted, I will hunt you down to tell you how much I love this. Like one of her song lyrics, like, I will hunt you down. Oh my god, I thought she DM'd me. I was like, what the fuck? She doesn't like me talking about Colleen. She says she's gonna hunt me down. So anyway, my mom came at a perfect time. Having my mom here for the last couple days, it allowed both of us to, we'll talk about that at a later date. Back to this article. No. So she's blah 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 blah. She collaborates with popular YouTubers like Jojo Siwa and having kids participate in her stage show. She has essentially created Pee-wee's Playhouse for a generation that grew up online. But the nature of YouTube and social media allows her to build a deeper interpersonal relationship with fans in real time. Publicly, Ballinger wields that power as a famous children's host should. She's an LGBTQ+ ally. She professes inclusivity and body positivity and advocates for the sick. She's such an angel. I feel like I could debunk her reasonings for all those things, by the way, but whatever. But off camera, her interactions with fans veered into what they now describe as inappropriate territory. Earlier this month, several of Ballinger's that's how long this has been going on. Earlier this month was when we all started speaking up. And she's gone on to her. And do you want to know why she's silent? People keep saying, Colleen's silent because she's building a legal case. Let me say something one more time. For a defamation case, you have to prove that someone lied and they had malicious intent. So there's a reason that Colleen Ballinger is not doing much behind the scenes right now. There's no legal thing that has started or anything like that. Like, anyone saying that is flat out lying and they have no idea what they're talking about. However, for that kind of lawsuit that people keep saying Colleen's going to throw my way, you have to prove that the person lied. You know, like, that would be like someone editing context or something, or, you know, someone painting a picture, you know, something like that, with malicious intent. You know, malicious intent, for example, like writing in group chats about trying to gather information to take someone down, or hypothetically, you know, talking mad shit for years and then lying publicly about it, you know, stuff like that. That is what a defamation case is. So you all know nothing here saying that, and I promise you that. You know nothing. But I'll allow you to think that. And when you start seeing everything that's being talked about behind the scenes right now, with screenshots and people speaking up or whatever, we can talk again in a while. All right. So, Earlier this month, several of Ballinger's longtime fans came forward with allegations that she maintained uncomfortably close relationships with them when they were teens and accused her of using her position of power to manipulate a select group of them for years. They released screenshots of their private communications with Ballinger to evidence claims that she groomed them throughout their adolescence, including allegations that she had listen to this line, including allegations that she had inappropriate conversations with them about sex. Huffington Post have reviewed some of the private communications, which feature a phone number that belongs to the YouTube star. So Huffington Post have cited and confirmed the screenshots. Keep that in mind. So for the people saying that not true or anything like that, I'll allow you to think that. Because we now have news sites that are, have to look into this stuff, or else, they could get sued. And these former fans now consider themselves victims. The alleged private conversations between Ballinger and her fans put her private life at odds with her public persona. In messages to her young fans, Ballinger appears to body shame, gossip about other fans, and reveal personal information about her romantic relationships. And in interviews with Huffington Post, Ballinger fans and former husband Josh is on record now. Josh is going on record against her. I would have never thought that Joshua David Evans would ever speak up against Colleen. The way we dogpiled on him, the way I never thought I would see this day. And so, Colleen, refusing to respond to any of these media things, Josh has responded, and probably doing it in a way of making her look even worse, that she's not speaking up. And it's worked. All right. Bring new revelations to the person behind Miranda Sings. Adam McIntyre discovered Miranda Sings in 2012 when he was 9 years old. He created a Miranda Sings fan account on Twitter in 2013 and dedicated all of his time to it, he said in a YouTube video. 3 years later, in 2016, McIntyre's dedication paid off. At just 13 years... I feel like I'm reading about someone else. At just 13 years old, he got to interact with his idol directly when she noticed a funny comment he made during one of her YouTube live streams. At one point, Ballinger said she would send a few lucky fans some of her ugly and unused clothes, and that McIntyre was among the chosen. Soon after, McIntyre claims... By the way, I want to bring something up that people have been commenting on my streams. They've been like, it's interesting that she keeps being like, oh, I just gave away, ugly underwear. It wasn't ugly underwear. It was, racy lingerie. And my mom does still have it, which is great that we still have it. For whatever reason that, we'll talk about later, my mom still has it. So, yeah. Double parked. So anyway, Adam was among the chosen ones. Soon after, McIntyre claims he received a pair of her underwear in the mail, including a bra and panties. In a 2020 video, Ballinger confirms that she sent McIntyre the bra and underwear. She said the move was completely stupid of her. Soon after that live stream, the two began to talk on a more personal level, mostly via Twitter DMs, and by 2017, he says he was good friends with Ballinger, then 29. So she was, 30-year-old. McIntyre said Ballinger would bring up sex during their conversations back when he was still 14 or 15 years old. McIntyre wasn't always alone in these interactions with Ballinger. He was also a part of a private group chat on Twitter called Colleen's Weenies, where he and... I love that all of the news publications are calling it Colleen's Weenies. It was just like Colleen's Weenies, I think. But, the fact that they're all rhyming it, I'm like, work. where he and other fans had exclusive and ongoing access to her. In a YouTube video, McIntyre shared one screenshot from a group chat in which Ballinger asked McIntyre if he was a virgin and what his favorite position was. It was actually Cody that released it, but I did then end up speaking about it. In another instance in 2016, McIntyre, then 14, wrote in the Weenies chat that his ass looked good that day. Ballinger allegedly responded, pics at him. It's not allegedly, but I know they have to say that. But the chat wasn't just a place for Ballinger to interact with her fan base, McIntyre claims. She got personal with them. He said that in 2016, here's the Josh part now, she confided in them about her relationship problems with her then partner, Joshua Evans, who was also a prominent YouTuber at the time. The Weenies said she told them, so this is not just me now, and we're going to get to this in a second. The Weenies said that she told them that Evans was an emotionally abusive person, a shocking allegation for a group of young fans, and which Evans denied in a recent interview with Huffington Post. So Colleen being silent has now made news publications reach out to Josh about things she was telling us in the group chat to confirm or deny. So now Josh is going and publicly going against the abuse allegations that she said in the group chat, and now it's opened up this other big can of worms that Colleen was, you know, if Josh is saying that didn't happen, is defaming Josh, right? With malicious intent of getting us to attack and ruin his career. There's a lot of people that Colleen Ballinger has defamed. So there's a reason Colleen Ballinger is very silent right now. Anyways. Everyone in the group chat went silent for a second, McIntyre said. And then we were like, oh my god, babe, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, before that, we were having a conversation about homework or something because we were children. About a week later, Ballinger and Evans announced their divorce in separate YouTube videos. Ballinger, by the way, we've shown screenshots of her saying how, you know, abusive he was and stuff, so that's not even something that's, like, alleged. Like, we have it, and there's members of the Weenies in here that can attest to that as well. About a week later, Ballinger and Evans announced their divorce in separate YouTube videos, ever so dramatically, may I add. Ballinger didn't say anything public about the alleged emotional abuse. Instead, she called on her fans to remain calm and be respectful to Evans. She said this publicly. But McIntyre said he and the rest of the Weenies were never told to stand down. True. Instead, they mobilized as Ballinger's de facto public relations unit, going on gossip websites and comment sections to defend her reputation and attacked Evans amid the divorce. It was a weekly, if not daily occurrence where she would come in the group chat seeking validation, because that's all it was, telling us that Josh was abusive, that Josh screamed at her, that Josh gave her, or that she gave Josh everything, that Josh is running hate campaigns on her, which is ironic because she also ended up saying that I was running hate campaigns on her, you know, so it's a very running thing. McIntyre said the connotation was for us to go and attack Josh, or have us tell the public the truth, because she was telling us that he was abusing her. So then we had to go defend her publicly, but she never said anything, you know, publicly. So a quote from me, I was so involved in this woman's life that it's embarrassing to look back on. There were some days until, 4 a.m. where I was up trying to calm her down on a school night. True. Another member of the Weenies chat, Bree, said that she was just 16 when she joined the chat. Her role changed quickly from Ballinger's fan to personal keyboard warrior, she said, which is such a great point that Bree said. So we have a little statement from Bree here. So we also have other members of the Weenies on record as well now. And we haven't got to the necessarily all the other people involved yet. The amount of people in this one article that are going against her is crazy. I kind of felt like a bodyguard, said Bree, who asked to just be identified by her first name. It sounds so stupid. This is so embarrassing to talk about, but I would just be like, y'all are wrong about her. She never cheated on her husband. Anytime they would say something negative about her, I would go and say the opposite. After that, McIntyre said his friendship with Ballinger took over his life. He said he spent school days messaging her from an iPad that she would regularly trauma dump on him. Now, people were like, how were you messaging her, whenever you were in school with an iPad? So basically, whenever I joined secondary school, which was whenever I was 11 to 16, our school and the government had a thing where every student got an iPad. And because we were the first year of it, for the first couple years, there were no real settings on the iPad about, parental controls or something. So most people in the class, when we were looking at our textbooks on the screen, were playing Minecraft or Roblox. Whereas I was on Twitter talking to a 30-year-old woman about her divorce. So that's the context of having an iPad in school. So there's that. I would be in class DMing her on my iPad about her abusive ex-husband. He said, I was so involved in this woman's life that it was embarrassing to look back on. It was a private thing between us. In an interview with Huffington Post, Joshua Evans said that Ballinger's fans started sending him death threats after the divorce, but he didn't know that her fans were doing this secret gossip campaign against her on her behalf until much later, whenever fans started sending him screenshots. It was very eye-opening, Josh says, to see that this was the route she was going to take. She's going to use them to be her voice so that she doesn't have to say it. So it doesn't come back as something she said online publicly. Ironic, bonk. Look how that aged. She did that. She used us so that it wouldn't be her saying the things. Bonk. She may as well came out and said the things back then. You know what I mean? Because look how that, like, the amount of attention now that the fact she was doing this. Bonk. Joshua also denied being emotionally abusive. So now we have someone accusing Josh of something he's saying he's not. Which is really, really, really messy. Really, really, really messy. Josh is going on the record to publications saying that Colleen lied about him being abusive. So now there's this opening up of back and forth of Colleen and Josh about something she wanted to keep private but utilized us for. Bonk. What is wrong with her? Bonk. She would equate me having issues. Oh, so this is Josh. She would equate me having issues with some of the behavior to I'm emotionally abusing her, Evan said. And I was like, how do you jump from one end to the other? People have arguments, people have disagreements, but to say that I'm emotionally abusive, you can't take those words back, is what Josh said. You cannot take those words back. Especially when you let it out into the online space. And it snowballed and got bigger and bigger and bigger. McIntyre has since publicly apologized to Evan in a YouTube video for his role in the smear campaign. Adam said, I spent many years just coming at this man and attacking him. He did not deserve anything that came his way, McIntyre said. So, look at how many people are already involved in this. So now we're going to Johnny. So Johnny was a 15-year-old freshman in high school when he found Miranda Sings. He said he didn't have any friends at school and Miranda Sings filled that void for him. He created a fan account on Twitter and, much like McIntyre, said he quickly found himself... See, everyone has the same story. Everyone has the same story. It's crazy Josh responded. I can't believe Josh responded. I'm going to be honest with you. I never, even whenever I opened the article, I would have never thought that that would be something that Josh would do. It threw me off. It threw me off. I was not expecting it. However, if he's being reached out to for a comment saying he's being abusive, then of course he's going to respond. Bonk. Like, he said he didn't have friends at school and Miranda Sings filled that void for him. He created a fan account on Twitter and much like McIntyre said he found himself in private conversations with Ballinger. And though he wasn't a part of the Weenies chat and didn't interact much with McIntyre online, the boys' experience with Ballinger's were strikingly similar. Johnny said he met Ballinger at a meet and greet portion of one of her live shows not long after seeing one of her first videos. After that, he rarely had to pay to get in. Ballinger often, paid for the tickets. As it went for McIntyre, talking with Ballinger soon snowballed into an all-consuming activity. He said he and other fans, many of whom were minors, would video chat with Ballinger as often as 5 times a week for several hours at a time. And those conversations were often about Josh. Dude. I didn't even know that. They never let me into these fucking video calls. Because Johnny and his friends used to just fucking bully the shit out of me. Me and Johnny have made up though. It was mainly his friends. They always it wasn't actually necessarily Johnny, but it was his friend group. They would always make fun of me for being so young. And being so annoying, and Colleen would also join in on that, so thank you, Colleen. But I never got in these video calls, which in theory was for the best. But I did have one, I think it was tiny chat video call with both Colleen and Josh years and years ago, and then it would have just been calls with Colleen on other social media platforms. But so she was doing like video calls talking about Josh? Where do you find the time to look after your children? You know what I mean? Her not responding immediately has now opened up so many things for her to have to address. Well, nanny. Yeah, I know the nannies look after the kids. I was just like, even being like, for the 10 minutes a day that she hangs out with the kids to vlog them, like, Jesus, where does she even find the 10 minutes to do that? My goodness. She was dumping on us, Johnny said. She was like, I'm so sad. I don't think Josh is going to propose to me and would do things like that. And she was turning fans against him. So she was turning fans against Josh when they were still together. Even before they got engaged. She just like hated this man. This is the Huffington Post article. Johnny claims as their relationship evolved, Ballinger's messages got more personal. In a 2018 text message received and reviewed by Huffington Post that appears to come from Ballinger, the YouTuber shared an Instagram post from another fan and made fun of her for changing her gender pronouns. Ballinger also made fun of the fan's makeup and suggested that she was making up her illness to get attention. You know Colleen Ballinger, the one that advocates for sick kids? Here we have her making fun of them and saying they're faking it. What? Johnny, who was then 22 and worked on Ballinger's bus tour for $125 a show, joined in the trolling, which he now regrets. Now, $125 a show is crazy. Only getting, like, from our record, only getting paid, like, per show when you did the show. If you're going on tour with someone, you need to be paid for how much traveling you're doing, how you're dedicating your entire life. He was getting paid $120 a show. That is wild. This woman is cheap. But again, if they're fans, you can use them more. You know what I mean? They want less if they're fans. It's great for Colleen, you know what I mean? You can severely underpay them. And that is, I think, before tax, yeah. Which is just so bizarre. That is, like, obnoxiously low for a full-time job. Yeah, everyone's saying that it was, like, basically minimum wage if you, like, divide it all up. I really hope people understand how highly impressionable I still was and how I still felt like my job was being held over my head at all the times. He said, if I didn't join in on the jokes and things they thought were funny, which were unfortunately really cruel things most of the time, they wouldn't have liked me and I would have lost my job. Johnny's parents knew he was a Ballinger superfan, but they were largely unaware of how close their son had become with their favorite YouTuber and that the Ballinger might be bordering on unhealthy, which again is a very common thing because all she wanted to do was segregate people away from their parents so she had full control. Point blank period. In an interview with Huffington Post, Johnny's father... How many people are going on the record here? We're not even done the article. You got Johnny's father? Johnny's father, John, said he was relieved of any worry about the situation when he met Ballinger and Evans at an event in New York in 2012. Talking to the couple was reassuring, he said. They seemed responsible, John, the dad said. They gave me a different impression of who they were. He feels differently now, though. With what I'm learning about Colleen now, she's not the person I thought she was at the time. That's what made YouTubers different from celebrities. You could talk to them and they would talk back. We took pride in that, but in retrospect, it's dangerous. From Joshua Evans. So Joshua Evans, Colleen's ex-husband, is going on the record saying that, yeah, the way they talk to fans was dangerous, which makes Colleen look even worse because Josh is going on record saying that what they were doing was. Do you know how bad that makes her look? Josh is saying that what they were doing was dangerous, which throws himself under the bus, does not make Josh look good. and makes Colleen look even worse because he's confirming that they took pride in it. No. Like, some of Ballinger's exchanges deemed inappropriate for minors happened in public. So we move on to more people. During a 2018 Miranda Sings show in Philadelphia, Becky, who was then 16, who asked to be identified by only her first name, was called on stage to take part in a bit called the Yoga Challenge. During the challenge, Ballinger instructed Becky, who was wearing a short romper, to lay down on her back. At this point, look how many interviews. Do you know how much work this was? At this point, I was like, uh-oh, this is inappropriate. I'm not dressed for this, Becky told Huffington Post. But I looked up to her so much, and I trusted her so much that I let her do it. I laid down, and she spread my legs wide open for everyone to see. After Ballinger, in the character Miranda Sings, stretched Becky's legs as wide as she could, Becky stood up and the bit was over. Becky said she was in shock over what happened and felt embarrassed because people were staring at her. After that, Becky stopped watching Ballinger's YouTube videos. But the incident remains on social media today. Other creators on TikTok and YouTube have been reposting it as an example of Colleen Ballinger traumatizing a minor. Johnny was working on Ballinger's tour the night that Becky participated in the yoga challenge. He said that it was an uncomfortable night because Ballinger was not remorseful. So Johnny, who was on the tour working during this specific show, is also speaking up about it. Like, there are just so many people here. That's why she's silent. She knew what she was doing was wrong, but she had no regard for Becky or her emotions, and that is consistent with her behavioral patterns, Johnny said, who was working that night on the show. Okay, I want you to, I really want you to read this next line, right? Are you ready? Are you ready? Ballinger didn't respond to multiple requests for a comment. This article was being written over the course of weeks. Everyone involved, sorry, I'm being so loud right now. Everyone that was involved, right, had a long time to do their interview. There are so many people that are being interviewed in this that obviously this took a lot of time. My interview was one of the last, I think. I think it was Becky, Johnny, Johnny's dad, Bree, like all these, Josh, the ex-husband. Has it been over 2 weeks? I think it's been 3 weeks. Since Cody started this, it's been 3 weeks. She refused to comment. And you know what someone said online that I think is such an interesting point? Someone said they must have reached out on a school night because her PR team would have been sleeping. Such a bad joke. It's just such a bad joke. I can make the joke. Well, I actually took that joke from someone who said it online, so full credit to them. It's also very funny. But I can say it. It happened to me. I was one of those PR managers, so I can make the joke. Right? No. You don't want to talk about unpaid social media internships? See, whenever I go to do that, no. I never know what I'm going to say next. It just like rolls off my tongue to do with whatever situation I'm talking about. I didn't know that I was going to say that. Anyways. So Ballinger didn't respond to multiple requests for a comment. So Colleen would have been told that Johnny was going on record, I was going on record, Johnny's dad was going on record, Bree from the Weenies was going on record, Becky was going on record, and the biggest one of all, that her ex-husband was going on record denying the allegations that she told us about him being abusive. And she still didn't comment after multiple requests. Do you know how bad that is? And people keep being like, she's being so silent because she's working legally. What we touched upon earlier. So let's rule that out, right? She knows that she's guilty. We all do. Let me put something into context for you. If you're being accused of what she's being accused of, and now your ex-husband is saying that you lied about him being abusive, why would you just stay silent? Why would you not respond to a news article that is going to say that you lied about abuse or that you groomed kids or whatever? Why would you not respond? Because surely that's really damaging and you would not want people to think that of you. Right? So the reason Colleen is silent right now, to answer all of your questions, is because she is guilty. There is nothing I don't think that she can say anymore. You know what I mean? There's nothing she can say anymore. Anyways. Nor did members of her public relations team and management. 3 different aspects of Colleen Ballinger were reached out to, and not one of them responded. Colleen didn't respond, her public relations team didn't respond, and her management didn't respond. It, doesn't even make sense to not be responding anymore. I feel like right now she's just annoyed by it. Okay, that's fine. I couldn't give 2 shits how she feels anymore. I really, really, really couldn't. Her going on tour and making fun of it and, making jokes about it, I actually do not care what she has to... I really don't care how she's feeling. She's on tour, fucking fake crying for sympathy and thing. I do not care. I do not care. I do not feel bad for her. She is not a victim. She will never be a victim. I do not feel bad for her. When I see these clips of her on stage, don't feel bad for her. You were fake crying. You were fake crying. I don't feel bad for her. She didn't feel bad for me. She didn't feel bad for any of these. Do not care. Let me actually really quickly pull up the video I'm talking about. Of her getting a standing ovation at her show and she starts crying. Let me find it. Here it is.
Wow, that was so sweet. Thank you. Thanks, I have allergies. Thank you. Wow, that was so sweet. Thank you. That was, I think, the warmest welcome I've ever had on stage.
Again, she is gripping the mic. Fuck me. Did you hear that someone in the crowd shouted, "You're doing so well"? So everyone in the crowd is aware of it. You're doing so well!
Also the fact that she tries to guilt trip you all and gets mad whenever she apologizes. Like Colleen, you cannot get mad or play the victim based off how these people decide to fix what you broke. Period.
Okay, so her 3 members of her team have not responded. She hasn't posted videos to her YouTube channel in weeks, and she appears to have stopped posting new content shortly after the new allegations came to light in early June. Evans, on the other hand, is speaking out for the first time to the ex-husband about the allegations and his experience navigating social media alongside Ballinger. Her interactions with her fans began during her early days of YouTube, when the sudden existence of social media stars was a novel concept. Social media allowed creators and fans to connect instantaneously and without any barriers to access. It wasn't unusual for an everyday fan to get a tweet back from a YouTuber with thousands of subscribers. Sorry. My bad. Sorry. My bad. Sorry. Anyway. These relationships were uncharted territory for everyone involved. So Josh says, the ex-husband, there was no rule book for YouTubers. You have full access. That's what made YouTube different from other celebrities. You could talk to them and they would talk back. We took pride in that. But it was dangerous, Josh says, about what they were doing. Do you know how bad that makes her look even further? Her ex-husband is saying what they were doing was dangerous. And it can be perceived inappropriately because a lot of it was inappropriate. Her ex-husband is, like, Josh saying this? Do you realize, like, Josh is throwing himself under the bus in the process of doing this? But, like, he's doing it, and it throws her way more under. He's doing a reverse Cody. It evolved from something simple into something that we should not have been engaging in. And those teens and children, they don't know that it's not right. They don't know that they should be pulling back as well. That's the adult's job. And the sad truth was, none of us were doing that. Oh my God. Josh, like, exposed himself, but exposed her more so in the process. We didn't think, how was this affecting them, or how attached are they getting? I mean, bravo. Bravo. Finally, some sort of, like, fucking clarity here. You know what I mean? And people keep being like, Josh is only speaking up now because he's being asked about it. What, did you want him to, like, make a video on a random Tuesday last year or something about this? I don't know what else is expected. He's being asked about it and he's responding. People can love it, they can hate it, whatever. You don't have to like Josh, whatever. To acknowledge that what he's saying here is very, very, very important. He's very important. It's very important what he's saying here. You know what I mean? And Josh is responding. I was gonna sing Thank You, California, but it's not the moment. You know what I mean? He's directly validating everything we're saying, and he was probably one of the most involved people in it. Ballinger faced public scrutiny over her fan relationships in 2020 when McIntyre published a video to YouTube titled Colleen Ballinger Stop Lying. In it, he detailed some of the allegations being resurfaced today. That year was also the last time Ballinger commented publicly on the situation, where she published a video talking about the underwear but denied any allegations that she groomed fans. My fans are many different ages, so yes, there are teenagers, but there's also adults, Colleen says in a response video. McIntyre's video didn't make the waves in the Miranda Sings community back in 2020, but his follow-up video, which was published on June 4th, kicked off a conversation and a new series of allegations that's sweeping the YouTube and TikTok communities. Colleen Ballinger grooms her fans, McIntyre says in a most recent video. Emotionally grooms her fans for her own benefit. She's done it to me, and I will go on the record saying that. Wow. What an insanely thorough and incredibly done article from Paige Skinner. Like, can we get some... Seriously, like, I'm... That amount of people on record, Josh on record, I can't. I'm lost for words whenever I think about it. I do not think that there will be an article that is in I don't know how an article can top this. I really, really, really don't. And I messaged Paige and was like, I don't know how there's going to be a better article. I do not know. I do not know. So there's that.